So I've been with Judy and Allison through the tears and the upset and the disappointment. Um, and I'm here to do my best to bring you the echo of what happened for all of us and what was shared on today's call. Um, we reached the end of the call. I was prepared to press the end of record because I remember pressing the beginning of record, and it wasn't recording. The call wasn't recording, and I'm so sorry. And I'm been with Judy and Allison now through the disappointment of just like it's another what the fuck moment. So here I am in my I'm sorry, and once I got through that, I got to work in trying to recall some of the gems from the call. And it was such a precious call. And for those of you that weren't with us, we brought you in the beginning, and Judy also brought in your names at the end of the call, inviting you all to participate in this big conversation around servitude and service and how they live in you and what you're exploring around how they've moved through your life and what you're up to in regards to these things now. And there were some key pieces that are still echoing in me. And for those of you that were on the call, again, if you would help me bring to those of us that weren't on the call the gems, and be very, very grateful. So this is my remembering of what went on. I love that Judy brought in the importance of mentioning the vulnerability and the vulnerability of being a woman that has been in a life of this balancing act between servitude and true service, which is in part our nature. And she talked about the vulnerability of getting into places as we're aging, with our body changing, with our financial realities changing. And she brought in a story of her sister who's in a position right now where she's having to rely on others, and actually has had a life where she's been reliant on others due to her physical ailments. She has to rely on others financially to support her. And I was really touched by Judy's acknowledgement of the different ways that we can be of service to those in need, because sometimes we're actually sitting in the seat, especially as we move into eldership, of actually being in the seat of need. She read a poem that I hope that she'll share with you. I'm sure she will. And it's a poem that is so perfect. We both read it actually, and it starts, I will not die an unlived life. And so I hope Judy shares that poem with you. I will not die an unlived life. And she brought in that it seems that to be truly of service comes with this transition into, and she brought in the time that she had spent with the grandmothers. And she said there were times when she was with the grandmothers where she didn't understand what they were saying in content, but that she would kind of chew on their words and stay with what they had offered, and that they really took her somewhere. So she was saying that a part of service seems to be letting go of some of that care of being understood or received in a particular way that would feed our need for other to understand us. She spoke about this thing of service that becomes less about I hope you can see me the way that you want to see me, and more, I hope you can get something out of this. And if you do, great. And if you don't, I'm still going to be this channel of service. Melissa spoke, and when Melissa spoke, she spoke of being in cycles of this throughout her life. And she brought in specifically around 50 years old, where she let go of this big clinic that she was responsible for, and realizing that service could start to move through her in other ways. And she said that even now she's really exploring what this is to be of service, and where she can continue to let go of areas of servitude. And then I brought in this inquiry that I'm in, which is that sometimes when I'm in a place of thinking that I'm in service, if I look at it from a different angle, I'm still in a place of servitude of something, serving my ego and what I think I want to be acknowledged for, or something that I really want to make sure I bring into the world. And then also times where I think that I might be in a place of servitude, doing something for others because I think they need it, or because it's what I think others want of me, or because of something that's going on in here that's saying I have to or I'm supposed to. That it seemed to me that they can really flip-flop back and forth. And so I was grateful that Judy brought in the inquiry of this question of like, what are you in service to? And I just want to give pause to that because it felt like such an important question that was brought in, that I know I'll be taking away with me, which is, if you find yourself in service with your life, what are you in service to? And so I'm bouncing around here, but that's because that's how the call goes. And so I'm moving around my chart of who was where on my screen to see if I could recall some gems for us. Carrie spoke on her experience that she really does feel like she's just in this question in a big way right now. And she spoke of how much open to her, both in service and servitude, around her journey of motherhood, which is a big place where awakenings happened and discoveries were made, and how different her life became in really taking on motherhood in a very conscious way, from conscious conception all the way to the midwives coming in while she was birthing, and then of course as a mother, all the steps of both being energized and being in service as mother, and then being in servitude to how big that job is, and what she thinks her children are needing from her, or the world is needing from her as mother of children. And Jeanette, she was quiet most of the time, but in her deep receptivity was doing her doodling, her drawing, and showed us the image that I hope she'll post for us on the Facebook page, which was so beautiful. And as soon as I received it, I could feel the service that is coming through her when she's moving, almost like the sounds, the vibrations, the information that's coming through our collective conversation is actually just moving through her body. And she showed us the image that I hope she'll share with all of us. It was very beautiful. What I wrote is that it seemed like that she was doodling the cosmos speaking back to itself, speaking wisdom back to itself. There was something that seemed like it was in relationship to itself. So I'll be curious what you make of what she moved through. And she hopped off a little bit early to get on another call, but I did acknowledge that her presence, the way that she was holding space for the call, was really creating like a ricochet effect where just her being there and being in the deep, what I was calling like a mystic witness, like knowing that everything that was being said was of symbol and had meaning for her own life as well. So there's something about someone listening that deeply that really was having an effect on our call. And we all seemed to agree that we were all inside of that kind of listening in some way, but I really was feeling that and spoke that to Janelle. I think I said Jeanette. It's so funny. I hope you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Janelle. And let's see. And then Jacqueline came in, and she was coming in from Florida, where she is right now, and she brought such a beautiful story of everything that is moving through her process right now and what she's discovering as she did some work in Florida with psychodrama, and she did some work with her therapist of many, many years who does breath work, and all these connections that she's making to her own personal story and how it's opening up her archetypal journey as her life as priestess and weaver. And she spoke about the importance of this all being witnessed. So I'm sorry that you're not receiving all that she shared, but I can say that there was something very powerful about her speaking, and then she shared that just having it witnessed by us was really important. Something that came up during the call is that I was realizing that while I was listening, I was both really engaged in all the connections she was making, and then there was something going on in my soma, in my body, in my energy body, that was starting to just contract just a little bit. Something, if I wasn't tracking it carefully, I probably would have missed. But I started to feel this, and I said, Jacqueline, I'd like to take this risk. I'd like to tell you what's going on for me over here as you share. And she warmly said yes to hearing what was moving through me. And it was a moment where I really wanted to practice what Judy was bringing to us. This, I don't know if this is me in servitude or me in service, but I know it's moving through me. And in this pool of risking ourselves together, I took a risk and shared. And what I wanted to know was in Jacqueline's share, was she in choice about what she was sharing and how she was sharing? Or was this one of the moments where something like the strength of intellect, the strength of frameworks were kind of coming in and almost powering over another type of connection or contact we can have? And she gave me a beautiful answer, and the thing that I really responded to so deeply is when she shared that this is her journey. Her journey is to take all of these awakenings that have presented themselves to her, bring it through the mind on her way to bringing it through her own journey and then to other. And so as soon as she told me that she was making a deliberate choice about going on her path in that way, I just felt my whole system relax. Like, this isn't one of those places where we're in servitude to a culture that has told us that it is mind that we respect, it is mind that we respect, it is intellect that we respect. This is actually a really full-hearted choice that she's making based on her journey thus far. And so it was a beautiful moment that I hope I've translated a little bit, where we actually got to use each other and bounce ideas and energy off each other to open the next piece of awareness together. And that's what I was saying was really of service to me, is that when we can utilize these relationships that we have on the call, that we have with one another, that we're informed by when it comes to what Judy's offering us, and use it to serve our personal journeys and then the world around us. So let's see what else I wrote for Jacqueline here. And she said that right now it's so much about her own personal healing and her own journey, and that she wants to create something that is going to be of service, like to create modules or something that other women can participate in as they are becoming the weavers of their own life, as they are rediscovering that it is them that is unfolding the story of their lives. And that in itself can be so validating and re-empowering for women to realize that they're in the seat of weaving their story together. She spoke about her choice to not go into the worlds of marriage and some of these other categories of experience that in her lineage have really been about being more in that place of servitude, her soul lineage, her archetypal lineage, and how she's made an empowered choice to not be in those particular stories this time around. So I hope that gives you a little bit of a taste. Since it's just me on this video, I didn't want to keep talking and talking, but I hope that as a collective we can fill it in for the women. For those of you that were on the call and aren't bringing your own voice to this particular video. I hope that I have done just a little bit of justice. I hope I've been in service to what you've shared, and something tells me inside that I have missed a few pieces and trying to piece it together. So please bring your voice forward so that you can be heard. And Judy did some beautiful weaving at the end of just bringing the conversation to a close. I was feeling it energetically, like that she was bringing it in, and so my body actually like leaned into her. I felt like it was actually a moment where Jacqueline and I were in one particular energy from my point of view, and then Melissa and Judy were holding this wider spiral, and so I found my body just resting into Judy. Like I could really feel the containment, the container of eldership that she was bringing to us and serving. So I just felt my body leaning in, and I love that end of it, you know. And Judy even said, like, this is something else that elders can do, just hold and create space for. And that felt like such a big piece of service that I felt in the call today. This deep holding and receptivity and witness that was going on for each other as we were speaking. It seems to be what's been moving through our group all along, but it just seemed to deepen today. And Judy spoke to the reality that we have been bonding and that we've been revealing more to each other through each week. And I hope that in next week we can really be together and feel that together. So if you weren't able to be with us for today's call, I hope you really do all you can to be with us this next week so that we can close together and see what's next for us. So, what else can I say? There's a piece of writing that I noticed because I was sitting next to her. Judy was going to bring in, but we went over time a little bit, and she said that this piece of writing really needed more time and more space, and so she said she's going to include it in what goes out to us this week. So I'm looking forward to being with that. And as I mentioned the poem from the beginning, I'll either ask Judy for it or find a way to get it to you because it was such a beautiful piece. And I bow humbly to this moment of learning that I'm in. When I realized that this call didn't record, I went outside, and the first thing I wanted to do was just sit my body on a big rock, because the feelings that were moving through me were significant enough that I felt like I needed a solid place to rest. And so I just want to speak to the service of nature and the service of the earth, that somehow my body knew where to put itself as it needed to digest a lot of feeling of disappointment and sorrow and frustration and kind of cosmic confusion on how I could do something like press record and then get to the end of the call and not have it there. So as Allison was telling me when I was crying with her, she just said there are times like this where you just go like, there's something bigger at work here. You know, there's something bigger at work. So may this be an opportunity for us to digest and share once again. May this be an opportunity to forgive another person that is learning that sometimes life is disappointing. How many times do we learn that one? And an opportunity for us to really continue to chew on this inquiry that Judy has passed our way, which is, where are we in moments of servitude, and where are we in moments of service, and what does this mean to the process of our growing in years and moving into eldership. So I send you off, hoping you have a beautiful week, and in deep gratitude for the collective we are. And thank you, Judy, for serving us in the way you do, and for all of you women for joining us in this really rich, important conversation.